Hello and welcome back to the Ever-Changing World podcast. I'm your host, Ava Zanetti, and I am so happy to be recording a podcast episode again. Truly, it's felt like weeks since I have spoken into the microphone, since I've done this, so I am so happy to be back and doing this. If you are new or if you are a returning listener on the podcast, you may or may not know that I am a full-time student. I'm in grade 10, so it has been quite stressful this last week. Maybe not stressful, but it's just been quite busier than I had while I was recording all the other podcast episodes. As a quick overview, I had exams a few weeks ago, and I only had one exam last semester, so that was not too bad. It was quite easy. But I've started a new semester. So here in Canada, we had kind of another mini lockdown in terms of schools. High school kids could not go back in person. And then the way my schedule lined up with the exams and all of that, since we did my exam online, I didn't end up going back for a while into in-person school. So it was quite, it felt quite hectic going back. I know I felt very done after, since it was quite tiring almost, since I hadn't really been out doing a full day of school in person in quite a long time. So I do really enjoy my classes, but it is a heavier semester, so especially now, it is so nice to be doing something I love, to be talking into the microphone. It's been so miserable outside as well. I'm a runner, I've been able to run, so I've been working out at home, which is great, but it isn't as fun as running outside. So honestly, it's been quite the few weeks. I definitely enjoy my semester though, but they are heavier courses, and I don't have kind of, quote unquote bird course like gym I had last semester. So it has been quite busy, but I'm so glad to be back talking on the podcast. For you, it's been a week, but for me, it's felt like ages. So this episode is going to be a very fun one. I say that every episode, and I say this every episode, but truly, it's going to be fun. It might be a little hectic the way I talk about it. I have so many browser tabs open. I'm sure I'll be searching stuff up as I go. And today I'll be talking about cryptocurrency. I also will be mentioning a bit of the metaverse. If you have not listened to the podcast 2 weeks ago, I believe, go listen to it. It's called Metaverse. It is all about the metaverse. I absolutely love that podcast episode. Actually, I can't stop thinking about the metaverse, to be quite honest. I've been searching up the news, so I'm sure I'll do a part 2 soon, I'm sure. Though I'll probably do a part 2 when there's more news out. But there is a lot that I didn't cover. So I didn't cover a lot of the crypto-related stuff in that episode, since I wanted to do a bit of an introduction what exactly is cryptocurrency in this episode, but also just as an overview, kind of getting into a little bit of what the metaverse and cryptocurrency looks like, as well as some other markets. In today's episode, I was actually going to talk about NFTs, which is another super interesting topic right now in the tech industry. But once again, I need to talk about cryptocurrency. It is so important, it's so big. This episode will probably be quite broad, so I'm not sure how I'll title this. Probably just cryptocurrency, so we'll see how that goes. But I'll also mention the recent big crash that we saw, as well as some other topics which I will name in a few moments. But I think cryptocurrency is just so important to talk about, since it is so heavily involved in our lives. We probably all heard the word Bitcoin at some point. You've heard all these different phrases. If you are confused, I'm sure I'm just as confused as you are. Don't worry, I'm kidding. I do know a good amount of cryptocurrency, enough to be talking on an hour-long podcast about it, so don't worry, you can trust me with this information. So I will be talking, I might as well name off the topics right now, as I will probably keep ranting if I don't. The main topics I'll be talking about, kind of an overview of what is cryptocurrency, the different types of cryptocurrency, and mainly the major players, as well as, kind of some shit coins, to lack of a better term. Pardon my French, but that's, kind of the best word you can use for it. As well as different scams that we have seen with cryptocurrency, because shitcoins and scams are kind of hand in hand. Especially YouTuber scams. I do want to talk a bit about that. I could probably do hours about YouTuber scams in general. YouTubers love to scam. But I'm sure I'll do another podcast episode just about cryptocurrency YouTuber scams. So I'll probably leave a lot of that information out. If you guys want to enjoy that, let me know. I'll also be talking about some of the major crash that we've recently seen, the highs, kind of is it truly stable, as well as is this a stock market, because that is a question that I really have heard bouncing around, a question that I actually had when I first learned about cryptocurrency a bit ago. So I definitely think that's important to talk about, because it definitely is not. As well as, is this going to be the new currency? That's the whole talk as well. Is crypto going to be what's ruling our lives? Super important to talk about. As well as what companies are allowing cryptocurrency, what countries are allowing cryptocurrency, and all of these other broad topics. Because really, cryptocurrency, the whole idea, it is the people's currency. No government involvement. So there's issues, there's pros, there's cons to that, and there's great things about it. So we'll get into that. As well, I want to talk a bit about the metaverse and some other interesting things I've seen with Bitcoin, as well as the future. I mean, the future with anything is pretty hard to predict, but I'll do a little brief overview, at least what I think of it, if you want to take my opinions from it, and all of that. So, I mentioned the topics, we might as well get right into it. I'll try and keep on track as much as I can, especially in the first few moments when I describe what is cryptocurrency. So basically, the whole idea behind cryptocurrency, you've probably heard the term a bunch of times. It's not just the cryptos you've heard of. There's a bunch of different currencies. So the way I like to think about it, and really it is this, how each country has their different kind of dollar bill, right? You know, in Europe, they have the euros, or at least some of Europe. In Canada, they have, Canadian currency. States, they have USD, all of that. Australian dollars, if I'm getting the terms right. So basically, each country has its own money, some sort of money that they get around, some sort of form of that, and they have their own value when it comes to that. So we see a lot that usually the money value is based off of where the kind of big stock trade is, and there's whole intricacies of that. So, and we'll get into money, since that's not what we're really talking about. We're talking about cryptocurrency. So that's the idea about cryptocurrency. Like how countries have their own dollar, cryptocurrency is something we want to be universal. So really the whole big idea behind it is that there would be no government involvement. So, it would be allowed to exist without a government. And that's the whole selling point of it, is that no government can involve and adjust the value of cryptocurrency in any way, shape, or form. So it's really the new type of currency is what's rising. There are a lot of doubts about this, though there are a lot of people who will say this is the big thing. And there's a lot of downsides to it as well. So the one thing I do want to mention, though, is the blockchain. So I'm on Investopedia right now, and this is kind of a very, very basic idea of what is cryptocurrency, a basic overview of what it means. So really it is a digital or virtual currency, and yes, you need to know that it is a virtual currency. So you hop on your phone, you hop on your laptop, you go into your Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin, if you want to use Dogecoin, wallet. You go into your crypto wallet. Usually you have an app for that, and secure. When you go in, you see how much money you're making that day, or I don't know what your money's looking like, how your Bitcoins are holding up, and that's the idea behind it. It's really the new currency. So the other really big selling point about this is that it's very, very, very safe. It is nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. So there's something called the blockchain, which I will describe what the blockchain is in a very kind of basic, simple way. So what the blockchain is it's, here. Let's look at how it works, because this might allow you to understand what it is better. So the whole idea, the whole goal behind the blockchain is to allow, digital information to be recorded and distributed, but not edited. So, it is kind of the protection aspect. So I have this little graphic up here, which kind of explains it in a nice little way, and it describes how the blockchain works. So this is the transaction process. So first we have, let's say you have a Bitcoin, and you have a new transaction is entered. The transaction, the next step, is then transmitted to a network of peer-to-peer computers and scattered across the world. The network of computers then solves equations to confirm the validity of the transaction. So it literally sends a Bitcoin to a bunch of different places around the whole world. Make sure it's all good. Make sure you have that Bitcoin, that money. Then once it is confirmed to be legitimate transactions, they are clustered together into blocks. So these little blocks are then chained together, creating a long history of all transactions that are permanent. Then the transaction is complete. So the beautiful thing about the blockchain is that you can see exactly who has purchased what, when has purchased what, and you can see what they have purchased and if they have the money for it. So let's say you go to eBay, right? And you want to, this is not including crypto, this is a different scenario, to kind of explain it. So let's say you want to sell your virtual, even if you want to say Craigslist, a little sketchier, very sketchy. Let's say you want to sell, I don't know, you have a hat you want to sell or something. I don't even know you can sell that on there. But let's say you have a hat. And you think the hat's worth, I don't know, like $10, but you put it on, the auction, right? And then someone auctions for, I don't know, maybe let's say $20, right? Okay, you think, okay, you know what? Maybe they can afford this. Whatever you try, you get through, they buy it, quote unquote, and then, they don't have the money. So now you're kind of screwed out of a deal. They don't have a hat, and everybody walks out with what they had started off with, and it's just kind of a pain. So the idea behind the blockchain is that wouldn't happen. So that eBay buyer who's pretending to have $1 million, that wouldn't be able to happen, because in Bitcoin they can see exactly how much money you have, or Bitcoin, or in the blockchain. Let's put it in this way, the blockchain, because Bitcoin isn't the block. It's not what's distributing around. Bitcoin is the thing that's being distributed to these computers using the blockchain. The blockchain is kind of the brain behind this operation. So using the blockchain, if you are this eBay buyer, once again, and you think it's worth $10, this person has $20. They do. They have $20. It goes around to all these computers, boop, 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 and boom, everybody's happy. This person can afford it. You have money. They have a hat. So that's the idea behind it, that the blockchain is so secure. So it's really almost impossible to get away with scamming on this. So that would solve so many problems with banks, with people stealing money, with all of these different things that people do. People can see the transactions, and quite literally, when you look at, let's say, an NFT market, and you're trying to buy an NFT, you can see all the transactions before you. You can see every single one. So you can see, that person bought it for 1 Bitcoin before me. That person bought it for 0.5 Bitcoin, or whatever it is. And you can see exactly the transaction process and make your bets off of that. So that is really the beautiful thing about it. So here is another graphic. Oh, these graphics are great. I love Investopedia. So this is a little graphic about the attributes of cryptocurrency. So, quoting here, while blockchains are mostly used to store cryptocurrency transaction history, other things like legal contracts or product inventories can be stored. So that's really great, because this blockchain technology is so innovative. It's so, well, maybe not innovative. This is probably in the works, this idea, for a while, but it's so protected for the people. It's protected for everybody, so you can make sure that people aren't scamming, people aren't lying, and this is so important. So, the little points we have here is that cryptocurrency has intrinsic value, as it is trustworthy, secure, and fast way to deliver value for little to no costs. It also has no physical form, as it is only an immutable blockchain, and attributes of a cryptocurrency, such as total supply, are decided upon the majority of the members of its decentralized network instead of a centralized bank. So this is the people's money, basically. The people's way of making transactions. So the thing I do need to mention is, same with Bitcoin, you hear this term Bitcoin mining, which I probably will get into this episode. And I'm using Bitcoin as the example since it's the one everybody knows, and it is very popular for a reason. It is probably one of the most secure ones out there, and it's obviously, as I'm mentioning it so much, it is the best performing cryptocurrency. So, the beautiful thing about this, or maybe not the beautiful thing, but you do need to realize that there is a limited supply. So, there's people Bitcoin mining, not literally mining out in the mines, but they're Bitcoin mining, quote unquote, to get more Bitcoin. There is a limited amount, so there is still a set amount. So money, with the whole idea of inflation and all of that, you make more money, the value of it goes down, and now you have, $1,000 is only worth $1, right? It's a very extreme example, but With cryptocurrency, there is a limited amount. You can't go over that threshold. So, but this is decided not by a government. So that's the whole idea of it, the beauty of it, if you like that idea, is that it cannot be mutilated by the government unless the government creates the cryptocurrency, which is very interesting, and I will talk about later. So the other thing is that it has no physical form. So the other beautiful thing about this cryptocurrency is that it's the quickest way to make transactions, and it will go straight to you. So usually when you have a bank, I mean, sometimes the money, it'll go through after, a bit. But let's say I'm using e-transfer, because that's probably the fastest way to do something right now to send out money, unless you're standing beside someone and hand them $1. But let's say you are e-transferring your mom for something, you bought something, and it's like $20. You send that over to them. Usually, that money will go out of your bank right away, and then it kind of sits in this middle state, until your mom accepts it, and then it doesn't truly kind of go into your account for a little bit. It is pretty quick, but it just depends how quick your family is, or whoever you're giving the money to is on e-transfer. So the thing with Bitcoin is that, or cryptocurrency in general, I'm going to have to stop myself from saying Bitcoin every time, but the idea of cryptocurrency in general is that this won't, this time period, it won't take as long, and it'll just instantly go into your wallet, your crypto wallet. So that's the other selling point. The other big selling point, of course, is that you can send it to anyone, anywhere in the world. So especially in these kind of rural countries where, people are finally getting technology, but they don't really have much money, and they don't really like the government's money, and, it's not really treating them fairly. Then they can use Bitcoin, or they can use cryptocurrency, and then you can send it to anyone around the world. So this is a new currency, or what people think the new currency is, and that is what the selling point is. So, of course, there's also a lot of transparency. That's the big selling point. The blockchain is super, super secure, as well to mention that there are these harsh codes that are kind of created by this mathematical function. So this turns digital information to a string of numbers and letters. If that information is edited in any way, then the harsh code changes as well. So there's really no way to hack this. So this little example here, get an Investopedia, love it. Let's say that a hacker who also runs a node on a blockchain network wants to alter a blockchain and steal cryptocurrency from everybody else. If they were to alter their own single copy, it would no longer align with everybody else's copy. When everyone else cross-references their copy against each other, they would see this copy stand out, and the hacker's version of the chain would be cast away as illegitimate. So succeeding with the hack will require that the hacker simultaneously controls and alters 51% or more of the copies of blockchain, so that their new copy becomes the majority, and thus the created upon chain. Such an attack would also require an immense amount of money and resources, as they had to redo all of the blocks, because it would now have a different timestamps and harsh codes. So due to the size of many cryptocurrency networks and how fast they're growing, the cost to pull off this will probably be insurmountable. This would be not only extremely expensive, but also likely fruitless. Doing such a thing would not go unnoticed. And people suggest, and basically wouldn't really be worth your money, because you probably wouldn't make that much more than how much you'd have to do this. So another question you may have is let's do pros and cons of the blockchain. I think that's important. There's a lot more pros and cons. So a con, I actually want to start with cons, because I think that's interesting, is that a significant technology cost is associated with mining Bitcoin. That is so true. Another big idea behind this too is the environment. So this is something that, usually in our past as humans, we don't think about much. But it's important to think about, because, although we have these eyes set on Mars, and, Elon Musk wants to send us to Mars, realistically, this isn't going to happen enough to kind of trash our planet any longer and make this keep happening. So, we need to make sure that, climate change and all of this stuff is calmed down, that we aren't killing the planet and killing everybody on it. So one big issue with mining Bitcoin is that it takes so many computers to do so. I would totally recommend, since I can't show you a photo or video, to look up just how immense these rooms are with all these huge fans, just because all these computers are overheating. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. The environment is definitely suffering to some capacity because of all this Bitcoin mining. And I think I read a statistic, and actually I'm going to look this up so I don't get it wrong, but I think I read something that it was almost as big as a city's energy. Let me see. Bitcoin mining environment. Let's see if this will let us know. Also, let me look up what is Bitcoin mining to give a better explanation than I am kind of currently giving you, so you can get an idea of what this means. So, already had this open. That's so funny. Let's see. I have so many tabs open. I'm just gonna open it up probably. So here is Investopedia once again. So Bitcoin mining, so many ads, is the process by which new Bitcoins are entered into circulation. So it is also the way that the network confirms new transactions and is a critical component of the blockchain ledger's maintenance and development. Mining, quote unquote, is performed using sophisticated hardware that involves an extremely complex computational math problem. The first computer to find the solution receives the problem, the next spot of Bitcoins, and the process begins again. So a lot of this involves math, which is quite interesting to think about. So all these computers are running all these crazy math problems. Obviously, humans cannot really do this, and all of that. So no way we could solve it fast enough. And there's so many computers out there. So I have a little thing about the environmental impact, since this is so important to talk about. Because although I love tech and I love all the things that are we doing in development of the human planet, because it really is our planet at this point, we need to protect our environment to let this keep going. So, here's a little quote from PCMag.com, and it says, "The environmental concern comes from an estimated carbon footprint generated by the power plants providing that energy. And it isn't just mining that uses a lot of power. A single Bitcoin transaction is estimated to burn 2,292.5 kilowatt hours of electricity. For reference, this is enough to power a typical U.S. house for over 78 days. That's right. One single Bitcoin transaction is enough to power a typical U.S. household for 78 days. You really need to feel that. Because it is crazy. And here's another statistic. So Bitcoin mining, just Bitcoin, generates about 96 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions each year, which is equal to the amounts generated by smaller countries. So this is like the amount of Bitcoin that we mine in a year is almost the same as we do as a whole country. Yeah, sure, maybe it's not the U.S., but it's a country. You have to understand the impact of that. In a whole transaction being 78 days of power for a U.S. household, this is crazy. So the environmental impact is drastic. And if we're ever going to really use this cryptocurrency or any sort of crypto anything online like this, we really need to think about the environmental impact, because it's not just oh my gosh, you're not using an airplane to send a letter anymore. You are mining with millions and millions of computers. Well, maybe not millions, but you're mining with a lot of computers, and creating all this power distribution, and that's great and all, but then you have to remember our computers produce a lot of carbon dioxide emissions because they aren't that efficient when it comes to thinking about the environment. So it's quite insane. And as well, if we look at Ethereum, which is kind of the second on the list, it produces more than 47 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, so not too far behind. It's bad, guys, and we don't want the environment to be affected like this. So back to our little pros and cons. Let's go back to the cons. So the second point is that there are low transactions per second, as well as there's a history of use in illicit activities such as the dark web. So, suspicious things happen. Look at the shit coins. It's it can't always be trustworthy. As well as regulation varies by jurisdiction, it remains uncertain, and data storage and limitations. So the pros, of course, are all the accuracy by removing humans. Of course, humans are a big issue in almost everything in life. The cost reductions by eliminating third-party verification. Decentralization makes it harder to tamper with. Very secure, it's transparent, and it provides a banking alternative and a way to secure personal information for citizens in countries with unstable or undeveloped government. So this is really great for kind of just everybody. So another question here is, how many blockchains are there? This is really interesting. The number of live blockchains is growing every day at an ever-increasing rate. Shoot, I messed that up. So there are more than 10,000 active cryptocurrencies based on the blockchain, with several hundred more non-cryptocurrency blockchains. So there's a lot of these things, which just means there's more and more computers in the environment, if you really want to think about it the environmental way. Sorry about that, that was my water bottle. So yeah, cryptocurrency is great. That was a really brief overview of what it all means. I think maybe a short little video might help you understand. I'd definitely check out Investopedia if you are still a little bit confused on cryptocurrency. Basically, all in all, it is a currency with no government involvement. It's very secured heavily, and there are some issues with it, of course, like anything else. But it is very, very well protected. So the next question that I think you definitely would have, which I definitely had and had to look up, since we talked about this in one of my classes, and it was kind of funny to think about, that I was just thinking about this question, and let me look through my tabs and see if I can find it. One moment here. Let's see, we're looking at the crash, which we'll talk about later. All the crap coins, always sounds funny when I say that. I can't quite see it, so I'm just going to look it up again. Really, it is, what is like kind of the value based on? So, is this, did I pass it and not realize I did? Okay, so my idea was, so we're going to look at Bitcoin again, because this is the most popular one. But my question was, well, what's this based on? Because we know that a lot of different countries, monetary value is based off of different countries and supply and all of that different stuff. And it's usually based off of one country, which usually is based off the U.S. right now, since they're most reigning in power in terms of that. And we have New York for the Central Stock Exchange, though China is rising in the department. Anyways, that's not the topic for today. Basically what my question was, well, how is this valued? Because if this is a new currency, well, what are we basing this off of? Are we basing it off money? Because that means we can't get rid of money right now. So what is this based off of? Well, here's a quote again from Investopedia, my favorite website. Basically quoting here, the price of a single Bitcoin is determined by several factors, including supply and demand, competition, and its regulation. News developments can also influence investor precipitation about cryptocurrency. So the intrinsic value of one Bitcoin can be estimated by computing the average marginal cost of production of a Bitcoin at any given point in time based on the block reward, price of electricity, energy efficiency of the mining hardware, and mining difficulty. November 10th, it reached an all-time high of $68,790 for one single Bitcoin. So anytime soon I am not buying Bitcoin. I will not earn one Bitcoin. That is for sure. So here's an information about what a block reward is. It's pretty much, there are new Bitcoin awarded to cryptocurrency miners for being the first to solve a complex math problem. The miners use networks of computers and all of that. And these block rewards, is designed so that, let me see. So the difficulty of the math problem is adjusted every 2 weeks to ensure steady output of new Bitcoins. So make sure you keep that in mind. Roughly one block of transactions every 10 minutes. That is insane. So I also want to mention this. So the owner of Bitcoin, to limit inflation, has designed Bitcoin to ultimately have only 21 million Bitcoins. That's why the size of a Bitcoin block rewards is halved after the creation of every 210,000 blocks, which takes around 4 years. At Bitcoin's inception in 2009, each block reward was worth 50 BTC. In May 2020, the block reward was halved for a third time to 6.25 BTC. Dang. And as of May 2021, there are already 18.7 million Bitcoins in existence. So guys, there's only 90% of the total planned supply. Guys, come on, start mining Bitcoin. I'm just kidding. Don't do it before me. So we are almost running out of Bitcoin, which is a funny problem to have since Bitcoin is quite literally, it is just quite literally virtual. But it has value, and it affects people's lives. So that is a super interesting information. So another question. Again, I'm really doing a lot of main questions in this episode, and I will talk about the crashes and highs and a little more fun stuff in a moment. But I want to get over some of the basics because I think this is important, as well as for my own understanding, because I think these are questions that I have asked, and I think these are questions that you might ask. And even if you know about Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency in general, I think it's important to really think about these questions because all this stuff is quite fairly new. Bitcoin was created in 2009, but cryptocurrency really being a thing that people care about is very recent. For reference, I'm 15 years old, and in 2009, I was 3. So it's been around my whole life, but it's really only come about in recent years and really became popular. So, super important to know. Here's a little quote. Is crypto truly safe? Is another huge, important question. Here is something from Time, which I find interesting, because people have a lot of different opinions on this. So the quote here is that crypto held on an exchange or in a wallet is not an FDIC insured like money in the bank. So make sure you trade and hold your crypto on a platform that offers robust security measures. So making sure you don't go in some scam kind of Bitcoin wallet type of idea or cryptocurrency wallet. And including keeping a significant amount of holdings in its own cold storage and two-factor authentication. So just make sure you're being safe is kind of the whole idea behind that. So another thing here is that, it is risky, but also extremely profitable. So, good risk, good reward. That whole idea. Similar with stocks. Take it as you will. You can't predict the future. So if you truly believe in crypto, invest. If you don't. I'm not a licensed professional. Don't take any of my advice, of course. I'm not a professional in any means on this. Personally, I would love to invest in crypto soon. But I really do. Even though I've researched this a lot, I still want more research. Because I find that it's really... knowledge is probably your best power. And I'd rather wait and maybe not make as much profit rather than rushing to buy something and then just getting scammed. So, that's why we didn't see people buying Bitcoin in 2009. And it's so funny because I see so many of these Instagram posts. They're usually quite funny, quite silly looking. But people saying, oh, if I bought Bitcoin in 2009, I'd be like a billionaire right now. Well, yeah, sure, maybe you would be a billionaire, but, also think, would you really trust Bitcoin in 2009? I sure wouldn't. I know I was 3 then, but, if I was my age and I had this knowledge, I would definitely not trust Bitcoin. I'd be like, what the heck? This makes no sense. And in that time period, it didn't make no sense. So, take it as you will, take it as you believe. So here, I want to talk about the next portion. Kind of the types of crypto, the major players. I mentioned almost all of them. The 3 major players I really want to discuss is Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are the top 2. And then Dogecoin. This is kind of the funny one. Everyone kind of laughs about that one. So, Bitcoin is obviously super, super big and super important. Ethereum is another one that's really the second on the list, I believe, in terms of its, I think in terms of its rates, technically. There's also a bunch of other random ones. We have, Polkadot. I've never heard of that one. There's so many ones. Tether, I've heard of Tether, that is for sure. And it's, okay, so here is actually a quote from here. It was one of the first and most popular of the so-called stable coins, quote unquote, that aim to peg their market and all of that. So, And of course, Dogecoin is kind of the meme coin. As you know, prices have skyrocketed, and of course, we know Elon Musk is kind of the big dog behind that one and its profit ability. So before I get into talking more about Dogecoin and all these, and the Elon effect on our world, since he seems to have a grasp on almost every single industry, I do want to mention shitcoins, quote unquote, lack for a better term, pardon my French, whatever you'd like me to say. I do want to mention here, sorry about that, you might hear that I should probably not pick this up in case the microphone goes out of order, and I don't want to re-record this since I'm 35 minutes in. I'm sorry if you hear that my computer's charging. I've had such an issue with my charger today. Anyhow, besides the point, we're back to the point. More notably, I do want to mention shit coins, and then I want to mention government coins. I'm going to write that in my notes so I don't forget. I'm not going to talk about, I said I was going to talk about YouTuber scams. I'm going to leave that for a next episode. I'm going to highlight that and say another episode, since I don't, so I won't forget. I think that'll be a fun episode if we talk about that. So I just want to mention those, because I think those are the next two important. Maybe I'll talk about some of the highs. We saw a low recently. Another few little questions. I mean, I've answered a lot of these. Cryptocurrency is not the stock market. I also mentioned that. And also some places that allow crypto. So, again, I always look at the time around this time and I always say, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to talk about. So, this is why we do a podcast every week, so I have the option to talk more. Okay. Let me find what I was going to look up. Oh, yes. I was going to look up some shitcoins. Okay. So the idea of what a shitcoin is, and it's an umbrella term covering all these spin-offs of a failing or already failed cryptocurrency. So it's usually devoid of any indefinable purpose. These currencies have no basis for existence. So, I mean, if we look at the stock market, we kind of have these, like, shit stocks, too, for lack of a better term. Crap stocks, whatever you want to call it. But we usually have stocks that, you know, obviously won't yield any reward. The stock market is a lot different than this. So, you know, these kind of an undefined purpose. So, this is unlike Ether, which is another big currency, and Bitcoin. These coins have no longevity associated with them. So, the famous example, of course, is Dogecoin. It is a meme coin with the Shiba Inu, you know, dog. You've probably seen the meme. So, you know, let's see, Dogecoin draws its value from the tweets of Elon Musk. You know, without him, it would be based off of nothing. So, you know, if Elon decides he doesn't like it anymore, oops, you know what I mean? So, you can kind of identify these shitcoins in a few different ways. You can see, of course, shady developers. If you see someone that, like, doesn't make sense that they're making a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you know, maybe don't buy it. Also, undefined functionality. So, if these blockchains are really weird and they just solely, like, there's no purpose. Like, why are they just there? That's a shitcoin. Generic projects, you know, if it makes kind of big promises, but it's most likely not to do anything. I mean, you can really think about this of investing in anything. So I think this is a great advice for any investing. Some other things is there's few holders, so, you know, there's not really that many people. And the norm suggests that a legitimate cryptocurrency must have at least 200 to 300 coin owners. Any number below this range indicates sinister activity. So a healthy coin worth investing and must also deploy 5 to 10 transactions per minute, which is a lot. So you can't just kind of make a currency on a Sunday and expect some money out of it. Like, that's just not going to happen. You have to really, really work if you want to make a promising cryptocurrency. And even if you do, I mean, you're probably not going to get too many rewards depending on how it goes. As well, the final point here in this article from CNBC, I will link it, of course. I link all my sources in the bio, so if you ever need to look anything up, go ahead. But this is a dry liquidity pool, so the quoting here, a newly launched decentralized exchange heavily banks upon the liquid funds. So less than $30,000 in liquidity is a glaring red beacon. that you must steer clear of. The coin may even list at surreal discounts to the tune of 30%, which is not sustainable. So really making sure that this is a sustainable thing is also super important, and you can kind of get the idea of that. The existence of a project white paper. So this proves that the project is authentic. That is a very interesting point. And then, of course, the developer's promise. So, we can see these shit coins like Dogecoin. One is called the Magic Internet Money. Safe Moon. Doge Loin Mars. Oh my gosh, there's another one. Shiba Inu. I mean, a lot of these are kind of even fakes of Dogecoin, which is quite funny. I think I remember Safe Moon being like, I think a lot of YouTubers talked about this. I do watch a lot of YouTube. I don't know how to look this up. YouTubers. Because I feel like I've seen YouTubers talking about this. So, Safe Moon, I'm not too sure. Maybe it was them. I know there's been a lot of YouTubers doing some shady stuff with this. We've seen this with gambling sites as well for kids. It's honestly such a horrible thing. So I made a note of it because I'm really interested now. I'm going to talk about YouTuber scams in probably the next episode. Because I think that's a fun one. I'll do crypto YouTuber scams in general because I think that's one that I can speak to the most. And then of course there's always a YouTuber scam on the rise. So maybe I'll talk about that, We're gonna spread our wings, not our branches, and move to some other topics. So, besides the point, I want to talk about government coins now. So this is interesting, because the whole idea behind cryptocurrency is that this is not for the government. The government has nothing to do with this, and now the government's like, shit, you know what I mean? Like, shoot. Cryptocurrency might ruin everything. We need to act quick, guys. So there's been talks about Canada and America making a cryptocurrency. What does this mean? So here's a little quote here. I am from Canada, so I'll be mentioning Canada. Quote here from, where is this? Global Legal Insights. I don't know if this is quite trustworthy, but I'm going to trust it. Cryptocurrencies are not legal tender in Canada, so only coins issued by the Royal Canadian Mint and notes by the Bank of Canada are legal tender. However, the Bank of Canada, the country's central bank, is experimenting with the token-based digital currency, CBDCs. It's an interesting one. Okay, this is a trustworthy website, I believe. So bank officials say that this would be necessary to support the vibrancy of digital economy. Whatever, they just want to get involved with something that they were never supposed to be involved with before, which is kind of the whole idea of everything, always. So I'm going to delete this 1 second. Let me find, I believe I had the American one up here too. I definitely did, and this is going to be making me mad if I don't find it. But basically the other idea is that the States is always also trying to work towards one. So, let me look this up. US Gov Crypto. So what would this mean if they kind of made these crypto? I am so sorry. My computer hates me today. Crypto. So, the U.S. government they're not backing it, but there has been talks that they're trying to make one. So, there's kind of ideas behind this, and I'm going to look this up. What would it mean if a government created a crypto? Really, I mean, I can kind of probably explain this even not looking this up. I just want to make sure I get this right. Why is this not spelling right? Oh, because I did not properly spell that. So here we go. So although it's not a formal term, government cryptocurrency is normally used to refer to cryptocurrency that has been officially issued or endorsed. Okay, of course. So, okay. Here's a quote. This is from April, but that is okay. gonna delete that. Bitcoins may be seen in the spotlight, so central banks, of course, they need to. The government needs to do what they usually do. So a lot of governments are exploring the digital dollar. So it could be used instead of this. Let me see if I got this information right. Okay, so here's the quote. Quoting from barons.com, the rise of cryptos possesses challenges to central banks and financial authorities, so transactions in alternative currencies aren't as easy to track as those that run through banks and other traditional intermediaries and all of that. So, in hindsight, cryptos may also undermine countries' capital controls, such as blocking outflows of their currency or suspending access to the bank deposits during a financial crisis, since cryptos operate in an alternate financial system. So Turkey, for instance, recently saw the value of its lira plunge 12% and had to claim the markets on fears that it imposed new restrictions on foreign exchange of its currency. The country's central bank recently banned the use of cryptocurrencies for transactions and goods or services. So this is actually causing a lot of problems. And this quote is quite funny. If you are a central banker today and you love Bitcoin, you are crazy. It is like the taxi driver being excited to see the Uber come into their market. So, guys, this seems like it might be a big deal. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying that they believe that crypto won't be a big deal, but I think it's going to be on the rise for sure. I think that it's had such an impact already. There's definitely be more impact. Now, moving into Dogecoin, because this is quite funny, I want to mention Elon Musk a little bit since, he's, if you know me in real life, I love Elon Musk, though I do know the impact of his tweets is quite crazy. So this is called, quote-unquote, the Musk effect. So this was February 2021, and, I mean, there's been so much more happening since then. But when Musk announced that Tesla bought Bitcoins worth $1.5 billion, the cryptocurrency rose by 20% in one day. On February 4th, he wrote, "Dogecoin is the people's crypto, causing a sudden jump of 50% in Dogecoin in one day." Guys, he has a chokehold on this market. So a lot of people also get scared because they say, well, if the richest man alive, or at least we know, has such a control in these markets, what does this really mean? So, I mean, that is a worry, and that is a valid worry, but I mean, what can we say? And for reference, Bitcoin has a price of 0.1414 CAD, Canadian dollars. It's 11th. It's ranked 11th here on CoinMarketCap. And it is on the rise. I mean, it was a lot lower. But guys, you have to realize that crypto, oh, sorry, it has plunged a lot. Never mind. No, actually, wait, I'm looking here. You can see that February when it skyrocketed to 0.6. That is quite funny. It's actually on the low end right now. But you can see that Elon Musk has such a stronghold on this. But the whole topic is, what if Bitcoin reaches $1? Well, today, if Dogecoin were to hit that level, its market value would reach $132 billion. That would make it third place after Bitcoin and Ethereum. So guys, if this thing actually takes off, which I don't think it will, but if it does in any capacity, way, shape, or form, we might be seeing Dogecoin in the market, and that might be very, very interesting since we have a nice Shiba Inu to call our currency. That'd be quite funny to me. To kind of wrap this up, I didn't get to everything I wanted to get to today. And don't worry, I'll talk a bit more, but not too long. I do want to just mention who uses crypto so far, so the kind of the companies that allow it, because I think that is quite important to briefly go over that. So, of course, countries aren't allowing it right now. We know Tesla, of course, allows it since they, it's Elon Musk, but Microsoft allows Bitcoin. I think this is just talking about Bitcoin. Wikipedia, PayPal, Starbucks, AT&T, Overstock, Twitch, Amazon, Home Depot, Whole Foods, Sheep Air, and Weg. Never heard of that one. Name Cheap. Bunch of other ones. So, a lot of companies are offering and allowing these cryptocurrencies, which is very interesting since this means that they do trust that they hold some intrinsic value, which means we might see cryptocurrencies on the rise. I know a lot of people may say we may see a balance between cryptocurrency and physical money. I think that's what I'll see in my lifetime. I don't think I'll see full-on cryptocurrency, because really cryptocurrency, I mean, you'd really have to trust one, and that'd probably be Bitcoin at this point. So, I mean, I don't see that becoming the norm just yet, But who knows, right? Like, you never know how the market's going to look, but I definitely don't think it's going to get too crazy too soon, at least. So I'd really just keep your eye on the market. Nobody can afford nobody. But a lot of people can't afford $60,000 for one Bitcoin, and they can't mine Bitcoin with all these computers. So, realistically, for the day-to-day person, this is something that you can invest in. Maybe invest in a safe stock instead if you want to trust it instead. As well, this is not the stock market. They are completely two different things, because since Bitcoin is currency, and the stock market is a totally different thing. But I found that this is really important to talk about. Let me go through, let's see. I think I'm going to do a different episode on the metaverse. Since I did talk about crypto now, a brief overview, I'll do that another time. I think I should leave that to its devices. Okay, I didn't want to talk about this, because I've been getting so many ads for this before I end the episode. So many ads for this, and I'll get so mad at myself I don't talk about it. So, I've seen, since I've mentioned on the podcast, so funny, because I sit here with my phone, right? So, my phone can, hear what I'm talking about, and I talked about the metaverse last time, and crypto a bit. So, it heard crypto. Let's show you this ad for this website called Ledger, this company called Ledger. So, what this is, it is a physical hard drive of your cryptocurrency. So, here it is. Ledger's the smartest way to secure, buy, exchange, and grow your crypto assets. So Ledger is actually a kind of crypto term, by the way. So that is why the name is named that. It says here that it is trusted by 4 million company customers, and it is recommended by Forbes, TechCrunch, and Bloomberg. So when I saw this, it kind of made me laugh because it looks like a vape, to be quite honest. Though I do have to mention vapes look like USBs, and this is quite literally a USB. So that's why I had that correlation. But what this is that this ledger connects with your Bitcoin wallet, and then you have a physical hard drive of it. So, I mean, the whole idea behind crypto is that it is, through the blockchain, completely safe and secure. But you have a hardware of it, and you can see all your Bitcoins doing what it needs to do in your little USB stick. It literally looks like a USB stick. I will link it. You can look it up. It is quite funny looking. I found it really funny because the whole idea behind this is to go everything virtual, but now we're going back to our roots, going back to the hardware. But I see why this is important. As well, another interesting thing is that you can buy a Visa debit card through this. So, it is not open to the public yet. It says it's coming soon. This will allow you to make purchases of crypto at more than 50 million merchants and online stores, and easily and securely through Ledger Live. So that is such an interesting thing, is that you can have like a debit card looking device to you can get a family pack. Look at that for $210. But you can get a kind of like this device that quite literally looks like a debit card, and it is a debit card since it's with Visa. And here it says start your crypto journey. Anyway, so this is kind of Ledger Live. They're also obviously convincing you to have your crypto assets with them. But I found that really interesting. So, I got so many ads for it, I had to talk about it. So, now crypto also is going to this hardware format. So, we're seeing it being developed. We're seeing people buy stuff for it. We're seeing all of this. Guys, I think it's up and coming. I think this is going to be something that we all need to watch. The future, briefly, I'm going to go over what I think, since we can't really predict the future. I think this is going to be a part of our lives, for sure. Maybe not to the capacity, crazy sites of using Bitcoin every single day. But I think this could grow. I mean, this is a new currency. This is, like the quote said, this is the Uber to the taxi. We still have taxis around, but the Ubers are up and coming. So I think that's the situation we're seeing now. Of course, I may be wrong, but I think we need to watch cryptocurrencies. We need to watch Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably not Dogecoin, but you can watch it if you want to. If you really trust Elon Musk with your money, you can watch it. But of course, if you are investing in crypto, buy best devices, be safe with it. Safe as you can be, picking, quote-unquote, the safest cryptocurrencies you can, and all of that. I do think in the future we will find that it becomes more and more safe. I think I'm already finding it coming more and more safe. And obviously, once we hit that Bitcoin cap market, we know how much cryptos we can't mine anymore. So, there's that as well. So, kind of a brief overview of today's episode. We talked a lot about what is crypto, what is the blockchain, all of this. major players in crypto, a little bit about shitcoins like Dogecoin, government coins. We didn't talk about scams like YouTuber scams. I'll do that in another episode. I think that'll be a fun one. As well, I did not talk about the recent crashes, actually. Really as a brief overview of that, there has been a recent crash. You probably heard of it. This happens in every market. Truly, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but, I mean, what can you say? Let's see. There's reasons why crypto's crash. Maybe I could just mention these quickly. Lack of liquidity in the crypto market, cryptocurrency regulation. It's really a reason why anything crashes. Security breaches causing fears, crypto influencers causing volatility. If Elon Musk messages and says, hey, I hate Bitcoin, it's going to go down. So a lot of these things, can kind of happen. They've passed in the past week, and around $1.4 trillion was wiped from the combined crypto market, sparking warnings of a new crypto winter, quote unquote. So people are kind of worried about this, but Biden, this is a state thing, as soon as next month would put the White House at the center of Washington's efforts to deal with cryptocurrency. So people are kind of getting worried about this. And make sure it determines the risks and opportunities. So this is kind of the crunching point where the world decides if crypto is here to stay. We're going to see this developed more and more, so stay tuned. Keep up with the news. I'm sure I'll do an updated crypto episode. There's so much more to talk about, so I'm sure I'll talk way more about it. Overall, I'll say be safe. If you're investing in crypto, be as safe as you can. Obviously, look at your finances. If you want to be really, really safe, I'd rather, if you want to invest your money into something where you're making some sort of return, I'd invest in like a S&P 500. Stocks instead, a lot safer since that has been a market for a very long time. Though, if you want to invest in crypto, I'm sure I probably will in the near future. Go for it. Be safe. Make sure you pick something that is trustworthy, and I think that's probably the best that you can do. I didn't mention the metaverse as I wanted to again, though I'm sure I'll do another episode on it, so there is no worries about that. And I'll do some YouTuber scams in the next episode. That'll be a fun one. So overall, if you want any of the resources, I'll link as many as I can. I have a lot of resources here, so there might be a few less, but I did mention where I was reading stuff from. So if you want to look at any more information, go look at the link in my bio of this episode as usual. If you want to listen to any of the other podcast episodes, of course it is www. Actually, let me get the right episode name. You're probably listening to this on the website, so I probably don't need to mention this, though. It's always a good idea. So it is shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Again, shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. So you can listen to the podcast on there, of course, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Tell your friends, tell your family about it, tell whoever you'd like. It's a great podcast, of course. I love it. I had a great time talking about cryptocurrency today. I'll be talking a lot more about the tech industry, of course, in the near future. It's always being developed. If you want to learn more about the metaverse, go listen to the podcast 2 weeks ago. Last week I talked about the book The Alchemist. Totally recommend. And I also mentioned more about how to lead your life in the first episode of the podcast. And I also talked about the James Webb Space Telescope in another podcast episode. So, I didn't thank you guys last time, but thank you guys for the, I've been doing the podcast for over a month now, and it's been quite crazy. So thank you all for the support, for listening in, and I hope you guys have been enjoying. So, a quick connection, if you want to follow up on the podcast, if you want to get updates, whatever podcast episode is coming out, and all of that, please connect on Instagram. It is at ever.changingworld. Again, ever.changingworld. There's a period between ever and changing. Twitter, everchangingWOR. Again, everchangingWOR. I've already mentioned the website name. Again, it shows at acast.com/ever-changing-world. And then again, thank you guys so much for listening. Tune in again, of course, next week for next week's podcast episode. I'll see what I'm doing. I might be doing YouTuber scams. I might be doing something else. So please let me know what you think of it. I'll also be doing an NFT episode in the near future. I've talked about cryptocurrency, so I can get into that. I don't need to explain the blockchain anymore. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Please tune in next week and listen to the other podcast episodes as well. Thank you all for listening, and have a wonderful day.